Hello and welcome to an episode of the Principal Liner Notes podcast. I always know that it's going to be a great episode when I've had a great conversation before we hit record. And we have literally been all over the world. This is Sean Gaylord, and I am so grateful to be here with my brand new friend and amiga and thought partner and bandmate, Dr. Marie Moreno. She is a founding principal for Las Americas. She is also the founding CEO and founder of Newcomer Success, which we're going to get into. As Marie was sharing about all of her adventures and her passions for education as a leader, I wrote down the two words global empathy. She is someone who is an advocate for the world and helps definitely make our world a better place for others. Marie, my friend, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sean. It is a pleasure. And finally, I get to meet you. I've seen you on Twitter and X or, whatever we call it anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen you so often on there, and it's great to put a name with a face now. And I mean, our conversation, we never pressed record.
Yeah.
We 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 just have so many stories to tell, right? From you and myself. And so it's just been great. Thank you so much for having me or what is it, this morning?
Yeah, definitely. It's a treat. And again, we're showing the absolute energy and power of a PLN. And it's just great to be with you and our mutual friend Josh Tovar connected us, our buddy, my bandmate, my amigo, my hermano. And I know I could just see him doing that thing he does right now. So Josh, we're doing it to you, buddy. We got you. You're here, and you are with us in spirit.
In
So
spirit.
yes. So Marie, I don't. I mean, there's so many places I'd love to begin for this conversation, but I think first and foremost, I might add, in addition to being a founder and a creator, you are also an innovator. You are a servant leader. In 2022, Time.com, named you the innovator educator of the year. You've also contributed to a couple of books. I don't know how you rest. But I think what is it that gives you energy? Let's start there. As a leader, as a global advocate, what is at your core for the work that you do?
Sean, it's a very interesting question because, I think it has to go back towards kind of my beginnings, right? Back towards, you know, I didn't I didn't go to school to become an educator. Actually, I went to school. I was one of those kids that I'm the first one to graduate from college. And so just my mom just wanted me to graduate from high school. She didn't graduate from high school, so that's all she wanted was to graduate from high school and call it a day. And so I wanted more, right? I wanted to go to college. And she said, I can't afford it. And shout out to all the teachers out there that really support kids like me that are first generation college students because I had a phenomenal teacher, Miss Contreras, God, bless her soul. She really kind of took me under her wing, right? And she really provided me with the supports that I need and helped me fill out applications. And so here I am now, I'm in college, great. And now I'm just spinning, right? So that's another conversation for another day. But here I am spinning. I finally graduate as a computer programmer. And so I'm an extrovert. I talk and I love to talk in front of people and I'm just kind of out there, right? Here I am, a job that I'm behind a cubicle just typing away and doing programs. And when our customers would come in to do professional development, I would jump up and I'm like, oh my God, you guys like the program? That was my idea. This was so cool. And my boss would say, Moreno, go sit down in your cubicle. And I was like, I gotta go. you know, so I would have to kind of go back and, continue to type. Well, the reason I got into education is because I was helping my niece, and the assistant principal said to me, "How is it that you can come and visit me every time I call you when your niece is in trouble? Why do you always just show up?" And I said, "As long as I do my programs, my boss doesn't care, right?"
Hmm.
So he ended up telling me, "Why don't you become a computer programmer in high school?" So here I am, 20 years old in a school, high school, teaching students how to do computer programming. So this particular school had 72 countries represented, speaking 42 languages.
Wow.
And so my first exposure to working with newcomers was when I was a classroom teacher. And so I kind of saw the world in a different lens now, right? It was like, wow, look at all these kids. They don't speak English. And so I had to learn really fast how to work with students, not only just teaching them English, but now I was teaching them a language, a computer language. So I think a lot of it has to do with, like, my core is looking at some of these challenges that our students come with, right? The resilience. This is when I found out when students were coming from Central America, coming through, the jungles of Mexico, going through and passing borders in Central America into Mexico, and then, eventually coming into the United States, and just realizing the resilience that they have, having been deported many times before they finally make it to the United States. And that just kind of felt like, who does that? Like, who leaves their world behind, leaves their home behind to finally, make it to United States? And that's when I realized that, I wanted to make it, if America was truly the land of opportunity, then
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure that I opened those doors for kids that wanted to be here, that wanted to make a difference, and who don't know how, right? And so providing that avenue, that outlet for them to really do great things. And so that's kind of, I think that my core is really looking at helping those students and those families and those children that probably will not survive very long in their home country because of war, of gangs, of violence, or whatever, and that they're just trying to survive. And so I think that's I kind of see that today, and I feel like the work's not done yet. I'm not done. I have so much to do.
Oh, yeah, you're just getting started, which is amazing. And again, as you share, Marie, it all goes back to service of our students, service of those who need advocacy, and I know that servant leadership is something that also drives at your core as well. And those are two words that get thrown around a whole lot. But I would love to hear your take and your actions as a principal, as a former principal, as a founding creator for a school and now an LLC. How does servant leadership shape your core in your work?
So I there's a book called The Heart of Houston.
Hmm.
And it's lessons in servant leadership in different sectors. So I wrote the chapter on the education sector. I was a school principal at Las Americas when I wrote this book, and people would tell me, when I was a classroom teacher and an assistant principal, I was always there to serve and support my families, my students, my teachers, my faculty, my staff. I mean, it was, the community.
Hmm.
And so it's a big difference when you become then the principal, right? Now you make the decisions. I don't have to ask anymore. Now it's like, if I felt there was a good idea, then I would do it. So when I became principal of Las Americas, it was my servant leadership that I wanted to provide comprehensive wraparound services to not only my students, but my community. And so, I had hundreds and hundreds of faculty, staff members from different school districts that would come to visit Las Americas. I had superintendents come through Las Americas because they would see and hear about all of the services that I provided. And, you know, kind of backing up a little bit, sometimes principals believe that if it doesn't tie to the school, to the test results, that it's not important, right? And I would have to argue and say, kids really will not pay attention to what's going on because they're really thinking about what's going on at home. Do they have lights? Do they have, will they have food on their table? Do they even have a place to live because they've been evicted 4 times already? Those things matter for our kids. So I had to provide different types of support, and I get it. Principals sometimes have a way, or actually the system itself, where we can't use school funds for certain things, right? For example, paying for someone's rent, right? We can't do that. But as a principal, I can certainly find resources, grants, opportunities for maybe others to help my families. So there was a time when we had a lot of families that were being evicted and whatnot. They didn't have any way of making any money to pay for a rent. And so we found $100,000 grant to help support our families
Wow.
with rent, right? So here was another resource that they wrote the grant just for my school. I provided services, for example, immigration. If they felt that they had a really good opportunity for seeking asylum and going through an asylum court case,
Mhm.
so that they can eventually get their green card or whatnot, I connected myself with so many immigration attorneys, so that all they had to do was say, I am a student in Las Americas, and the principal told me I can come and see you. And it was, a free consultation that they can at least look into and see, do you even have a case? We opened up a clothing closet. There was a student that was walking from home, and she was limping. And we said, what's wrong? I kind of sat her down, and we pulled her sneakers, and it was full of blisters. There was blisters all along the edge of her toes because the shoes were just too small. And so we ended up, taking off the shoes. We went to the nearest store. We got her some open sandals, some cortisone, or kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And that was the startup of the Closet of Hope on our campus, where now we had clothing, we had shoes, we had um, all these different resources, or clothing for our, not only our students, but we had it for families. So families would come and shop, if you will. I kind of say that loosely because we didn't charge anything, but would take clothes so that they can go look for a job, so that my painters that were painting and were just full of paint can get more clothes,
Yeah.
because they're just going to get ruined anyways, at their jobs. So little things like that the kids just loved, right? So we had a program for dental, so the kids can all get their teeth cleaned. I would tell the students, on your mom's birthday is when you get your dental. When it's your birthday, you get a physical, because we also had healthcare on our campus, to get support. We worked with Save the Children to have mental health services for
Mm.
individuals. We did group, we did family therapy. So all different kinds of support. Again, for me, it was always about serving my community. It's anything and everything possible, because at the end of the day, kids will do whatever you want them to do. They will take all the knowledge, and they will perform when they need to, because they know how much you care, right? As long as you can provide that with the kids will do a lot for you.
Right on. That's such a beautiful trajectory of servant leadership, and I appreciate the holistic approach, because so often, in the principal chair, uh, test scores and accountability, although they have a place and they have a time, sometimes that it can consume you, and we don't look beyond the fact that not only is there a school community, but there is a community in which the school serves. And we're part of that kind of important bridge, if you will, to that. Now, I'm working on year 17 as a principal, and you were in the principal role for 18 years, which in and of itself is that's another book, my friend. We'll get to books in a little bit here. Little inside for those that are listening. We'll explain. I'll explain that little inside reference in just a second. But you then made a courageous giant step from the principalship to creating your own organization, Newcomer Success. And for those who are not following you, and they should now, and for those who aren't connected to you, I'd love for you to kind of explain the vision and mission of Newcomer Success. And what I love, Marie, in terms of looking at your website and just listening to you, I mean, the three words that kind of override that: partnership, empathy, and excellence. The kind of the core drivers, the core value drivers of that organization. So tell us about Newcomer Success.
So Newcomer Success came about simply because, again, the number of school districts that came through my doors at Las Americas. I, I started Las Americas back in 2005. I tell people that I didn't ask for permission to open the school, or to have found the school. They gave me, at the time, I was a principal of three schools. I was in early childhood. I was a principal of a charter school, and at the same time, a third principal of Las Americas Middle School. And it was overage kids that were 16, 17-year-old that were in middle school,
Mm.
right? And so they kind of created a school for them, right? So I only had 30 kids at Las Americas Middle School. I had about 350 kids at the early childhood. And then I had about another 120 kids at the charter school. So put them all together, I had about maybe 450 kids. So that was kind of my first year principal. Three school improvement plans, three budgets, three faculties, it was a trio of everything.
Ooh.
And so that that was my experience as a first year principal.
Wow.
So what happened then is Las Americas, I started getting a bunch of Iraqis coming in. And so they would say, we'll send them to her. She can work. We don't want that group of students because we don't know what to do. So give them to her. That kind of gave me the idea. The school district that I work for is fairly large, that you can pretty much do what you wanted to do and no one would know you did it. So then I decided, well, I'm just going to start enrolling students that are new to the country. And I would call my friends, my neighboring principals around me, and say, hey, all those brand new kids that just came from, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nepal, just send them to me. And so that's how I ended up with the newcomer campus that I founded, because I just started enrolling only new arrivals. But so the reason I started Newcomer Success, going back to the original question, was because I had hundreds. When I say hundreds, I had to kind of even pause the number of people that would come through. If you literally Google Las Americas on the Google search engine, you're going to see that I had Nickelodeon, I had Tom Brokaw's nightly news, I had Dallas Morning News, I had New York Times. The UNHCR, the chief deputy for the UN, came to visit my school. So there's an article on her take on what we did there. So it was extremely successful. Rice University just did a study. It just came out in January 2024. So we're talking 7 months ago, about my work there at Las Americas. And it is phenomenal. Just go and I'll send you the link. So I just figured, you know what? Why not provide support for other schools and school districts across the country that are needing support in a way that we're not just talking about Spanish English anymore, right? We're not talking about Spanish speakers. I'm talking about our Ukrainians. We're talking about our Congolese. We're talking about our Afghanis. Students from around the world whose alphabet don't look like ours. And
Right.
how do we support children who want to be successful? So that's how I opened up Newcomer Success. Not only that, I would say Las Americas ended up being a school with 32 countries represented, speaking 29 different languages.
Mm,
And so I tell people all the time, we weren't just diverse, we were densely diverse because I could have a classroom of 18 students and I had 12 languages in that class of 18. So that wonderful little strategy where you say, turn to your partner and tell your
yeah.
partner what I just said, didn't work. It just
Yeah.
did not work on our campus because you spoke Swahili and I speak Urdu. Yeah, ain't gonna work, you know?
No.
So I and wait till you had a conflict and there was a fight. That was always the fun part because now at least we have little translator apps, right? Back in the day, that wasn't even a
It
thing.
worked.
And so it was pretty interesting how I kind of had to take care of that. But so lots of so Newcomer Six was basically born from there. I have 7 schools out in the country now that when I was a principal, I gave them the old school flash drive, right?
Yeah.
It was like, here's a flash drive. This is how you open up a newcomer campus and good luck. And that's all I would do after they would come and visit. And so now I'm actually going back to these schools that opened up with my little blueprint flash drive and just checking up on them and saying, "Hey, how are things going? What are some of the challenges?
Mm,
I'm now available to help you when back in the day I wasn't because I was tied down to the chair, right? I was a
right.
principal. So now I just got back from Las Sierras Academy in New Orleans, doing phenomenal work. We opened up that school together during the COVID years. And
Mm.
so I was, hoping everything was going to be okay. And they are amazing. I'm super excited about the work that they are doing over there. And so, yeah, I want to go and visit my other campuses. There's actually one in South Carolina. I think
Okay.
I should be going with Josh. I think he told me in March there is some conference going over there. So I'm supposed to go to the conference in March with him. And so I said I was going to go a couple of days earlier so that I can go to visit that school.
That's right. If it's the same thing I'm thinking about because I just missed him when he was here. It's the North Carolina Middle Level
Yes.
Education Association conference, and Josh was at it. I missed him back in March, and that is okay. So I'll see you there because
Yeah.
I plan on going there this year, and it's 90 minutes or 60 minutes south of me. So we'll definitely, and maybe by that time, Marie, we will have survived Tanzania.
Yes. Yes. Because I would be back. Yeah, I'll definitely be back. This is the end of March, I think they said.
I think so. So
Yeah.
one of the things that you've shared and we talked extensively about is and it drives your work for newcomer success is that there's one thing in terms of googling the country that you serve. There's one thing about maybe even speaking in the language that you of the students whom you serve and the communities that you serve. But you have really been driven by this passion to dwell, not just visit, but to dwell within the countries of the students and the communities that you are supporting. And I am so inspired by this to the point where I am seriously considering going to Tanzania with you. So I know you mentioned you've been to 12 countries so far.
Yes. So I've been to 12 countries. I'm telling you, I said to myself, if I'm going to be a principal of a newcomer campus, I better be the best
Mhm.
newcomer principal for these kids. And when I opened up my company, I felt like I needed to set myself apart. I wanted to be able to really, really, really support my clients in a way that I can truly provide them with key probing questions, stories, experiences of certain countries, especially when we're having to build relationships with kids in a very accelerated manner, right? We want to make sure that we build these connections, but sometimes they're very quiet. They don't really talk much, and so it's really hard where you're trying to kind of be nice and have a smile and providing maybe food and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been to 12 different countries. I just got back from Tanzania. I was there the entire month of February. I was working with Maasai children, um, teaching English. It's an English immersion school there. It's called Promise Village Academy. If you Google Promise Village Academy on Google, you'll see the promisevillageacademy.org. It is ran by a board here in the United States, and they provide um, they pretty much manage that school in Tanzania. It's an amazing place. I'm planning on going back in February 2025 and taking 12 educators. And I say 12 because that's how much space there is there to stay, because we'll be staying there at the school. It is 2.5 hours south of Arusha, if you want to kind of like Google and find out where in Tanzania. It's a what they call it. It's a massage. It's a Tanzania massage because you're doing this for 2.5 hours because there is no paved roads to get there.
Wow.
And you may be seeing elephants and zebras and giraffes on the way to the school, because it is seriously in a very remote place. And you'll be working with Maasai children, and teaching them English. They speak Ma in the Maasai tribe, and they speak Swahili. And so yeah, so been there. I went to Cuba last year because I was working with a school district that was telling me that they had a lot of students from Cuba and they really didn't know how to support them.
Mm.
I knew just from my work at Las Americas that Cuban students are very smart. Their education system there in Cuba is amazing. But that's all I could say about that country. But when they were asking me different questions about that particular part of the world, my principal hat kind of goes off and it says, I can't just turn around and just tell them, yeah, well, I don't know what's going on with that country because it's not like you can Google it, right?
Right.
So I decided to go to Cuba and find out, visit the schools, visit their after school programs, visit their learn about their school system, their health care, their community, some of their challenges, so I can better understand. So when I can come back and really support my teachers and my school districts here in the United States in supporting them, what kind of resources do we need to provide them? Yeah, I've been to Israel, where the Palestinians and the Israelis don't like each other, but
Right.
there is a school there in Tel Aviv called Hand in Hand. It's
Yes.
called a hand in hand school.
Yeah.
And I think the little emoji or something like that is called hand in hand. So inside the school, students are, some of them are Palestinian, some of them are Israeli, but they are working together side by side in this school, getting an education. But then when they walk out, they go separate ways because, that's just the way the community works over there.
Mm.
We went over to Palestine and we went to Ramallah, where you see big old signs that says Israelis turn around, you will be shot, on sight. And so we were able to go to the West Bank area, but it was amazing because when we were in this little bus, those big old M16s, kind of walking into the bus and saying, why are you coming? Why are you here? You guys are Americans and you shouldn't be on this side. Or so
Mm.
little things like that I can share with my teachers so that they understand this is the community our kids come from. Violence is second nature to them. I can't tell you how many times students just blurt out and say, man, I hate you, I'm gonna kill you, right? The kids just blurt out saying those things because they're so used to that type of environment. And when you come here and you say those words, heaven forbid, you're gonna be in an alternative campus because you try to threaten the teacher, when in fact I get it. I, at the newcomer school, I would tell my kids, you cannot say that at a regular school. Like if you said that somewhere else, like you would be in an alternative campus. So I did a lot of teaching. I have to teach these kids that what you say and what you do in your home country doesn't really isn't the same in this country. Here, there are
Mm.
serious consequences for you to say something like that to a teacher because of the environment that we live in, the society that we live in, and we have to make sure our teachers are safe. But sometimes our kids are just so explosive like that they don't understand. If you go back to the Rice University, they did a study on discipline, or they looked at discipline. They had different criteria, and if you looked at discipline, there is a huge difference between students that went to my school compared to students, immigrants who didn't go to my school, as far as being disciplined at their home campuses. It was like if you came to Las Americas, you got disciplined 4% compared to other students because they didn't get taught. Like we taught consequence. What is a consequence? They
Right.
don't even know what a consequence is,
Wow.
right? And so we have to kind of teach those things to our kids. I don't even remember the question anymore.
Oh, this is great. I mean, I just know you're nailing it. Just talking about all of your adventures and journeys. So it's so inspiring. And I know in some way, shape, or form, you're going to document these experiences, hopefully in a future book. And I said, if I'm going to Tanzania, then I want to see you pecking away or typing away or writing something down in some way. I mean, your story is so compelling and so inspiring. Um, I also appreciate just how, just as a servant leader, tailoring PD for schools and districts through Newcomer Success, and but then also going to dwell within these places to create what I call, and maybe this is the name of a book or a chapter, but global empathy. I think it's so powerful and so inspiring and so needed.
I'm excited. I mean, I don't know. I kind of put this out there, but again, I have a lot to be grateful for my former social worker that I hired at Las Americas, about, 15 years ago. Um, she now is my best friend. She is a doctoral candidate, getting her degree from Yale, in
Mm.
social work. And she would say, I will take care of the mental health, you take care of the education. And that was kind of her thing at the school, right? She at Las Americas, she took care of the mental health, I took care of the education, and that's how we rolled, right? Now that we're both out of the school system, she's the one who invited me to Cuba, to go with her to learn about Cuban life. And I was like, you know what? Yes, I'll go with you in a heartbeat. Let's do it. So she just recently reached out to me and she says, I don't know of any crazy person to go with, except you. And I was like, okay, what do you have planned? And yes, she goes, you haven't even heard where I'm gonna go. And I said,
You
so
just
I
said
said, it
yes.
doesn't matter. Wherever you go, I will be on your coattail. And so it's still up in the works. We're still trying to figure it out, but she wants to go to Kabul, Afghanistan,
Wow.
and to learn a little bit about Afghani life. There's a lot of things going on in the Houston area around Afghanis and Central Americans.
Mhm.
I'm very familiar with Central America, their needs, their resilience, their struggles. She's aware as well. What we don't know is what's going on in Afghanistan. I've never been there. I don't know what's going on. And so she kind of feels like she needs to go. And she says, this will be good for you. You can learn about education in Afghanistan and learn how, children are educated over there and some of the struggles. And so I said, sold, I'll do it. Let's go. So we're still kind of thinking about it. It is a little more dangerous. I think Cuba is, um, I think Cuba was probably one of my other places that I was kind of struggling to go with, but super safe. They love them. They're going to say really nice things to Americans because they want the Americans to come back and say all these great things about Cuba,
Right.
even though half of it's not true. But they want you to say good things about their country. Afghanistan, I don't even think they like Americans. So
Hmm.
I would have to be all covered up. So I'm thinking, well, how will they know I'm an American? I
Yeah.
just won't talk, right? Or I'll learn a few, Arabic words or something. I don't know. We haven't figured that out. But so I guess part two, we'll find out if I came back, if I actually went and see what I actually it'll be part of the book. How about
Yes.
that?
It'll be part of the book, and I know those who are listening wish you safe travels, and I know that you take travel seriously, but you also take the precautions seriously as well, and that will definitely be something that will be a part of this future masterpiece that you're going to compose, and it will be out in the world, and will also resonate with others, to serve, or to be just a little more empathetic, or a little more helpful, for others. Marie, if folks want to get a hold of you, or they're interested in learning more about Newcomer Success, and want to connect and learn and grow with you, what are the best avenues for that to happen, my friend?
Super, super easy. I'm on every single social platform out there, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, at Newcomer Success. Super,
Easy, and I
super
will.
simple.
It is very super simple, and I will put all of those links in the show notes for those of you who are listening to this podcast. Whether you're on a run, or on a walk, or a drive, it's Newcomer Success, and you can just ask Siri or Alexa to take you there, and Marie will connect with you. Truly a champion for education, global education for our newcomers and for our global community. Marie, I got to tell you, you have an open invitation to come on this podcast anytime. You are a lifelong bandmate, and I am just so grateful, and I am better because I know you and I've connected with you.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much. And like I said, anybody who wants to go, if they're interested in going to Tanzania, I'm also looking for folks to go in February, specifically on Instagram, at Newcomer Success on Instagram. You'll see lots of videos from Cuba, from Uganda, on a refugee camp in Uganda, in Tanzania. So that one in particular, I try and put all of my videos there because most people want to know, is it safe? What are you doing? What is life like? Those kinds of things. And sometimes we don't see that on Google, or we don't really capture that. But yeah, definitely, my Instagram definitely has a lot of video. You'll see me crying sometimes. So I put myself out there. It's vulnerable situations for me sometimes, but I'm very open. And so please reach out to me. I will definitely respond. If you even DM me, I will respond back to you, and provide you some tidbits.
Oh, that's wonderful. Marie, I'm just so grateful for you, and I'm grateful for future adventures and collaboration, and conversations with you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I sign off, as I typically do, and actually the sign off that I traditionally do on the podcast really does echo a lot of who Marie is, and what she does for our planet. Don't forget to share with the world your dreams, your visions, your ideas, and your hopes, because the world needs them, and you help make the world a better place, just like Marie. This is Sean Gaylord. This is the Principal Liner Notes podcast. Thanks for checking in. We'll catch you on the flip side.